There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Nan Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Hey guys, how you doing?
No.
Welcome to the
No.
Fifth Dimension Twilight Zone
No.
podcast. I'm starting
No.
smooth. I'm gonna be a smooth talker today because it's the end of the season. We're not talking about the Fifth Dimension or the Twilight Zone or Rod Serling's favorite podcast.
Are we doing this?
We're
for
talking
right now?
about, huh?
What the hell's going on?
It's like, is
I
this
figured we start like most podcasts do, where there's just no random. They don't have like an opening. They just start. They just go
Hey,
into
guys, hit that subscribe button. Make sure to like it. We're talking about crazy shit today, and you need to be here for it, man.
the annals of the Fifth Dimension,
talking anal?
the Twilight Zone anal cast. Jacob's all about it. So, anyways, how we doing, guys? We're back for the last episode of the third season. This is before we get to the trenches of the real craziness that is the Twilight Zone. The greatest series of all time. How you doing? How's
I'm
life?
not ready.
I'm not ready either. Triv, hold me.
I'm not
No.
ready to go.
Hold me, Triv.
No, you stay away, stay away. Ah!
Oh shit! I think I broke my mic. Oh no, I didn't. What did I do?
Oh my God, he's in the Twilight Zone.
I know, right?
Ah!
So yeah. I have a cat in front of me. He is wanting to play with this little piece of plastic because that's what
Aw.
cats do.
Like bottle tops,
Yeah, exactly.
like bottle
But-
caps and stuff. Like you'll hear it like in the kitchen. You're like, oh my
You know
God,
what's
where is
funny?
that?
Like you buy all these cats expensive stuff, and all it takes is a piece of plastic from the cheese.
Yeah,
the
no
cheese
shit,
thing.
Sherlock.
It's like
Yep.
crazy,
It's like
They're like
kids.
children.
You get them all this stuff at Christmas, and they play with the fucking box.
right?
That's the best toy.
Exactly.
Why not just buy them
Why?
a box then?
Because
He has
then
plenty of boxes.
you'd
He gets
have
bored
to-
of them.
you'd have to have a box for the box, though, because that way,
Boxing Day.
yes, that's true. There you
Ah.
go.
Exactly.
Ha.
Ha! Ha! Huh?
Wow.
So, anyways,
Wow.
guys,
Did you know Owen Wilson's going to be in the Legend of Zelda movie?
is he really? Is he gonna be Navi or Nevi? What is it? The little
No, that's
fairy?
Andy Serkis. I saw it. in
Really?
tra- I saw it. In a trailer.
Oh, that thing. Is he playing Ganondorf? Wow. I'm
That's
gonna
what they
defeat
did.
you, Link. Wow.
I know this has nothing to do with the podcast, but it zoomed in on him. I was just like, wow. And then it did it. And I was like, I had to send this to them. Best part,
Yeah,
though, is when they go on Orlando Bloom and they look at him and he goes, "Ah!"
he's like, the hobbits are going to Isengard. Dun, 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 dun.
Anyway.
No, apparently
Back
the
to
guy who directed
easy.
was it the new Planet of the Apes is gonna be directing the Legend of Zelda? I think for Netflix or some shit. That's what I hear.
Really?
Peter Jackson should do it. Just don't make it a 3-part series.
Yeah, because that worked out so well with the Hobbits.
It did. It worked
He's-
so well.
He's 50-50. It worked out pretty good with Lord of the Rings. Hobbit,
Yeah, but
Probably
when you
didn't
give a
need
guy
3
money,
movies.
it all goes downhill. Anyways, guys, we're finished with the third season of the Twilight Zone. Yay! It's
Woo-woo.
over. It's done. I honestly, when we first started this podcast trip, I didn't know how long we last, and here we are at the 4th season.
two channels have tumbled.
Yeah, 2 channels have tumbled. Oh
This
shit!
podcast yet stands.
I think
My theater's changed about 3 times, but I'm still kind of here.
yeah, I gotta say, Triv's been trying to take over my my review channel.
What are you
Bloody.
talking about? I don't want the Bikini Emporium. I can barely keep up
Bikini
with my
Emporium?
theater.
Man, I've gone from Wonder Emporium to Bikini Emporium to was it Porn Emporium? Come on, Triv.
Oh, the Bikini
What happened to you?
Emporium
What
is where
happened
your
to you,
heart is.
Triv? What happened to you, Triv?
Um,
Gosh,
I am not the woman I once was.
apparently. I mean, yeah, you
I'm
got
just
to
a giant
you got
pile
to
of shit.
transitions in the first since the first
Damn.
season.
Yeah.
Shiv claims she's a big pile of shit, but we love her, Triv. We love our Triv.
Yeah. Great.
Triv, don't lie. So, guys, third season was it a shit show? Was it not a shit show? What do we
I mean,
think?
our list is a shit show, but it's a fun shit show.
I mean, it's a show.
It's the least of the 3 seasons that we've had so far. That's how I feel. But then we talk about some great episodes in it.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think we've talked about this a couple of times, especially on the downswing for this season. I feel like this season wasn't that great, but then there were some great things in it, and I feel like it
Well, we
took
say
5 years to get through.
well, yeah.
You know what?
can
You
blame
know
me
what
for
this
that.
season? You know what this season kind of reminded me of? It's like it's not the right way to state it, but it's the closest thing I can think of. It's like the middle movie of a trilogy. You know, there's some really good parts, but overall, it's just a lot of walking.
Well, like I think this season's issue. Okay, like season 1 and 2, all seasons have bad ones and good ones, but I think they were kind of like intermingled together pretty well. Like you'd have a really bad one, but then you'd have a really good one, then you'd have an okay one, then you'd have a regular one. You know, this season it seemed like they would have like a long stretch of just mediocrity, and then you'd have a stretch of like pretty good ones. So it was like I think the stretches of mediocrity is what made it feel so long and like it was bad, because there were more stretches of not necessarily bad, just kind of yeah, it's fine.
You know what this season reminded me of? It reminded me of like, the first part was, the hobbits walking. The second part was the trees talking to each other for 8 hours. And the third part was Helm's Deep and the trees throwing stuff at Isengard and, but it was
I
all
mean,
mixed up and
consider.
jumbled into a blender.
I
Third
mean,
part
well, yeah.
was the fields of
Consider.
Minas Tirith.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, considering the last like 4 or 5 episodes of the season, I'm not sure you can say that it's Helm's Deep, because Helm's Deep is pretty badass, and those last 4 episodes were not
Well, I mean,
badass.
to be fair, Triv, season
That's-
4 would be they're trying to light the flames of Gondor, or is it Gondor or
No.
Isildur? What is it?
They're trying to
Denethor?
signal Gondor.
Yeah,
I still
Denethor is
stand
taking over this
by
season.
the fields of Minas Tirith from Return of the King were still the most badass scenes in the trilogy.
Is that what the ones with the big
Mhm.
elephants?
Yeah, the end
Okay.
pretty much of Return of the King. That whole second half
The
of the movie,
The
where it's
6
just
hour
like a
long battle sequence that was
battle
amazing.
there, battle here, and the whole fields of Minas Tirith compared to Helm's Deep.
You know what season 4 is? That will lead the season. Season 4 is basically Denethor has taken over the podcast and the was it the Sauron's people are starting to like launch towards Gondor. That's what season 4 is
Is
going to
he
be.
sitting there like eating fruit and it's like squishing all over his face?
Yeah, exactly. And then
Okay.
Theoden is like his decrepit skate. He's like, that type of thing.
He's the steward
that-
of Gondor.
So are we
do
now
that.
like Lord of the Rings podcast?
Let's do it.
Yes. we're gonna be the Lord of the Who.
You mean the Lord of the
Lord.
Twilight?
No,
Lord
the
of the
Lord of the Who.
Zone?
Twilight Lords of the Who.
The
Episode
dimension of
1.
fifth.
Episode 1, A Phantom Last Jedi.
Oh, good lord!
Well,
It's like that one.
Episode
That one. It's
1,
like a Star Wars
Phantom
toy, but
into
it's
Darkness.
like it's got like Star Trek, and then it's got
Yeah.
like Harry
It's like a
Potter, and then
Chinese
it's like
knockoff.
yeah, but it's like all of the high fantasy stuff kind of tossed into the
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
Prisoner of the Phantoms of the Darkness.
Of the Hollow,
and-
Deathly
and-
Hollows.
Yeah.
Dark Christmas of the dark.
Yeah.
Dark
Killer
Christmas.
raccoons too.
What we call blazing who's.
Dark.
Blazing who
Double
was.
dark.
Or
It's the
who
dark
was
darkness
Saddles.
of the darkest dark.
Exactly. So anyways, all that nonsense aside, so season 3 has some of the most memorable and some of the most least memorable episodes. I was looking down the list as I was putting this together tonight as we were watching Blazing Saddles. You know how you've been on a season too long when you forget that the jungle was in your season?
Oh my
Was in
god!
season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you look at
Forgot
the
about
list,
that.
it's crazy.
So are these in order of like they're in the order of our list, right? They're not in the order that they came out.
No.
The second number is the order that they came out, right?
No, the second number is the number on our actual list. This is this is the order of like where it would rank in for season 3.
What? No, like okay, so you have like one.
So the shelter
three.
is number 1 on our ranking for the season 3, but it's number
Yeah.
3 on our actual ranking list.
Oh, okay. So this has nothing to do with how they came out.
Right.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha. Where we ranked it, where it ranks on the main list. Okay.
Yeah. So it's technically the
Gotcha.
shelter's at number 1 on our season 3 rankings. And
We
yeah.
put To Serve Man under the shelter.
I
It does
thought
have
I thought
Revisited?
Shelter was better than To Serve Man. Myself,
Yeah, it does said Revisited. I know that was a
Jacob
divisive
just doesn't
I
like
didn't hate it. It's odd because I really not enjoy. I'm very interested in that era and that kind of stuff and all that, but I don't know. That
I
one
mean,
just
there were parts of it that you could definitely look at and say it was a little bit overdone, but I think that's kind of the way that stuff, like when they were talking that, it was talked about where it had to be a little more over the top.
yeah.
Jacob, you're not German, are you?
My main
J-
origin of blood that flows through my body is actually African.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and French.
Oh, got it.
I'm
Cool.
a French African.
I was gonna say I'm German and Dutch, so
I'm Dutch and Italian. Actually, I'm German. I'm German, Dutch, Italian. So
I
I'm
think
like
the
2 of the
third most in my blood is British. So French African with a sprinkle of Brit.
that's gotta be an interesting salad right there.
You imagine the menage a
I'm
trois
not
of
saying
that?
anything.
Jacob's like ancestry is like a French and African and an Englishman get together.
It's menage. Ah.
Menage- oh. Hmm.
Menage. Ah.
Menage. It's like a menage.
Menage, oui, oui.
Menage a quoi?
It's a menage a penis stretcher.
Yeah.
You sound like you're from London.
That's what I do. Check out my channel.
So,
We stretch penises.
the shelter penis stretcher or the penis stretcher shelter. Death's
Shelter
head
of the
penis
penis
shelter.
stretcher.
Penis head penis head
Oh God,
revisited.
here we go again. The whole hour is just gonna be this.
Well, I mean, we
Showdown
gotta
with the
make up an
penis
hour for
stretcher.
something. Oh man. So the third season is quite a conundrum because like where would you guys rank this season compared to like the first 2 seasons? Would it be like 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 3, 3, 1, 2?
I don't know about the first two, but
8675
this would
309.
definitely be 3. I gotta say,
Fiona.
at least half of these episodes, I'm looking at the list we got here. The bottom half are all at least forgettable. None of them like I'm like, oh yeah, that was the one. That was great. The bottom half at least. For me.
Okay. First off, Jacob, I am very ashamed of you because how can you look at a piano in the
house? You know, title
not-
alone, that one gets a pass.
I was gonna say.
But like all the like from 18 down, it's just like mediocre, just at best. And
Well,
I think
you
that's
notice-
the problem with the season because it has some great ones here too. We got To Serve Man, we got Shelter, Death Savers Visited, Little Girl Law. You know, lots of really great episodes, but they don't quite outweigh that bottom 18. And that doesn't mean everything above 18 is great. It's just everything under 18 is just or worse
Wait, you want to see something ironic?
to me.
If you go from the changing of the guard to the passenger or passerby, look what the look what it makes up. It makes up 69, 70, 71, 72, 74,
Oh, yeah,
75,
that's
76,
crazy.
77, 78, 79.
We had
So,
a
like, the whole entire
70s boner
70s?
for here, I tell you.
Yeah. But it's like that. We have like
Always a
98, 99,
boner for the
100,
70s.
96. So it shows you that the level of quality for the Twilight Zone in the third season was a little rough around the edges.
But you know, I will
well,
also say
even-
that in mind, we do, and I understand that it's not as it's more heavily sprinkled on the back half, but it is sprinkled across like all 100. You know, every like 10 or every area has representation.
We have equal
Yeah.
representation here.
Right. I mean, you've
Congratulations.
got 4 in the 20s, you've got 4 in the 30 or no, 5 in the 30s, you've got 3 in the 40s. Like and it's high end and it's low end that have the most.
Yeah. Well, and there's just not as many like just looking at it flat out like truly for me, truly like wow, like really truly memorable episodes when compared to what we've already seen the first 2 seasons and this one. Like I feel I'd have to see the lineup of the other ones like this. I feel like there's just not as many like truly memorable episodes. Like some of the other episodes in the middle are good. The Grave, yeah, that's good. Once Upon a Time, I don't remember. The Little People, that was fine. 5 characters in search of an egg. That's really right there. 7 and up are all pretty memorable, pretty solid ass episodes. But from 8 down, 8 to 18 are they're good. But I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, that's the one. When somebody says, "Tell me about the Twilight Zone," I'm gonna be like, "Oh yeah, well the dummy," and I don't even remember that one. And Person or Persons Unknown, it's a terrible name. But
Well, I think season 3 probably has 2 of the most memorable episodes when it comes to Serve Man and 5 characters in search of an exit.
well, yeah, that's what
A
I'm
lot
saying.
of
Like
people,
its top
yeah.
7 there are really, for the most part, really memorable. But
See, now I would disagree with you on a couple things. You look at like a game of pool, the dummy, kick a can, kick a can, or sorry, kick the
kick the
can.
can.
Like those are ones where, like when the marathons come up, and I'm not the ones that are like in the hearts of people. I think because they have like a character or a situation that's very like it has that distinction. Like the dummy has a real solid distinction. Those are the ones that show up on the Twilight Zone marathons. They're the ones that people look for. They're kind of those ones that define for a lot of just average viewers what the Twilight Zone is.
Yes, but I got to call you on one. I'm with you on all those. Kick the Can. Why is Kick the Can as famous as it is?
I
Is it
think it's
because
probably
good?
just as much the movie. Like I think it's
Because of the
probably
movie.
just as much the movie as anything.
That's
But
what I'm
that's
saying. I
still
think Kick the Can is well known and, or for me at least, well known and
But
popular
is it
because it was
though?
in
I
the
mean,
movie.
if
The one in
you
the movie
talk
wasn't
about the
that great either.
movie, yeah. Well, no, what I'm saying was the movie's version of Kick the Can is not well received or well regarded. So I
but
don't.
it is
I
still one that's in the public conscience because it
Yeah.
has more than just
I
this
think the only
It
reason
has
episode.
more
that
reach than the
Yeah.
well,
other.
I think the only reason it has any type of significance is because Steven Spielberg directed it. But I don't think it. I mean,
Well,
Kick the
regardless
Can.
of
I
why,
think it was
it
just because
does.
it was. Well,
Well,
I
and the
think it was just because it
message,
was Sacrament Sweet episode type of
well,
thing.
and it's also, I mean, like you say, it's a message of it. It's a message that to the generation that came up with this, it probably did resonate quite hard, and that kind of came down through the era too.
I mean, why is
Maybe.
changing the guard like number 3 on the Pace magazine or whatever IMDb?
It was number
This is-
22
I mean, yeah, but like
Thanks,
we
bro.
all
That's one we
because
just
it
watched.
has, yeah,
I
because
like
it
that one.
right. Well, it has number 22 on the IMDb list because it has that same like feeling, regardless of how we feel about it one way or the other. It still has that appeal to people.
I think it
It's
had
the
a
same,
genuineness to it.
yeah.
Besides I know
You
Nick really was hung up on the suicide thing, but I think
I
that
just don't like suicide.
the way that it played out in the end had a genuineness to it that we don't always get. And I don't mean that in a negative way to the ones that don't have that genuineness, because it's storytelling, it's fiction, it's Twilight Zone, that's fine. But there was just something very like pure and genuine to the end, and the message was really good. And it's a message we've heard a bunch of times, but I thought it was executed really well.
right. And that is
Yeah.
one thing about the Twilight Zone. It either sticks the landing with those kind of episodes or it is so far off base. I mean, for every Death's Head Revisited or this, there is, something like, I don't know, The Gift.
The Jungle.
The Jungle. The Jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what pisses me off about the jungle is it could have been a neat idea. It was a neat idea. It was pure execution issues. Like the idea was fine. I'm not saying it would have been quintessential Twilight Zone, but the idea was fine. It was cool. Could have worked. Could have had a good time with it, but it was just so terribly executed.
I mean, couldn't you say that for a lot of these though? Like you could
Well, yeah,
look at
execution's a problem sometimes.
that's and I think that's probably true of every season of the Twilight Zone. Like there's an awesome, I would say maybe there's a couple that don't have awesome ideas behind them, but that
Well,
core
but
idea that is so incredibly good, and then it's execution or whatever that drags it down a bit.
Yeah, but the jungle was particularly
But you know what
badly
I like, but even
executed.
still,
No,
no, no,
yeah,
no,
sure,
but
I get what you're
still
saying.
behind it there is a cool idea. Like
Yeah, yeah,
even
yeah.
something as whatever you want to call it, as The Gift, or no, sorry, 4 o'clock. Duh. Like that one. Like it's such a over the top, just look, here's the message. Are you getting the message? Even something like that has a solid nugget of good idea behind it, but
I think
I
getting
keep
that
saying,
to a
I
we ran into that a lot where we'd have one that was like, this sounded like it started out as a really good idea, but they didn't know how to end it,
right.
and like they just kind of went off the rails.
Or it was a 5 minute story, not
Yeah,
a 24-minute story.
yeah.
I keep saying, like, you have 37 episodes in a season. They're not all going to be bangers,
Oh
unfortunately.
no, absolutely not.
I mean, you could tell, like, during as we got closer to the end of the season, either they were just getting really bored, they knew that they were having this kind of issue of the fourth season coming up, or they just like were burnt out. Because I mean, they clearly ADR'd Rod Serling in the last episode when he talked. So
And
I
I don't
mean,
know what
it's really
the like. There's no obviously they probably didn't address it, and they probably didn't talk about it beyond the folks that were right there. But I mean, that could have been a lot of stuff.
That could have been sound issues on the day of shooting.
Yeah,
maybe like Triv, they were drunk.
also true. But I think
Yeah.
too, like, we talked about earlier in the season how the turnaround time for, their downtime to be able to recoup after such a big season was not that much.
I mean, they
I
have
still feel
till
like season
January,
one was
so
the best,
Oh yeah.
but that may have just been it was so fresh. But I
well,
I stick to, and we talked about this with season two. I feel like season one, they had a lot of lead up time. There wasn't as much pressure. They cultivated their mix better, and they just were able to really spend the time with the writing process, the beginnings, and then execute because they started with a really good base. Then season two came along and it was this big smash hit, and they're like, "Oh no, we got to get season two going." So then they had a time limit and they had deadlines, and it was like bam, bam, and they had to like rush it along a little bit more. I'm not saying season two is bad, but I feel like they had a deadline. Season two they had no
I'm,
deadline. I mean, season
yeah,
one they had no deadline. They took the time to make it or to write it. And then they said, "Hey, what do you guys think of this?" They got the green light, but they started with a solid base, and they didn't have that time with season two and three, which is just that's the nature of the
I'm
beast with
gonna
any of these things.
I'm gonna be honest with you, like that could be true, but I don't believe that because it's not like this series and it started like on it was late. You gotta remember at the point like when we were watching TV and stuff like that, they would have like 2 months between like Christmas break and the New Year. The Twilight Zone didn't have that, so them ending in June and starting in September is about what a TV show has in general. So it's like
Well, yeah, yeah. No, I'm not
the
saying
problem
that.
the problem remains is that they didn't have any. They were writing for Christmas Day and they were writing for New Year's Day and they were writing for
Yeah,
so they
Oh
weren't
yeah.
getting any breaks between that.
but I mean,
That's where the problem came in. It's not the fact that it's the season because if you look at season two ended June 2nd and then the third season it started up September 15th. So
but I'm sure when they presented this idea, when Rod Serling went to whoever it was, CBS or whatever, and said, "Hey, I got an idea for a show. Here it is. I want to tell these stories." He probably had more time to pick these stories and put them out there and say,
well,
"Here it
yeah,
is,"
yeah. I
and
mean,
like put a bit more. He probably had a bit more time to spend with the writing process and the fundamentals, the foundation of it all before they said, "Okay, green light, now go." Okay, well, I've already got a lot of this. But then when he went into season two, it was coming off season one. And yeah, he had a normal amount of time, but I don't think he ever, well, I know he never had the time in the beginnings that he did with season one. And I
Right.
think that that is one of the reasons, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but if I just think about why does season one's quality seem, I mean, it could just be because it was so fresh. It was like, hey, we just started this and it's like,
well,
oh,
I
this is also
mean,
new
you
and
can
fresh.
also look at like any TV series, like the farther they go along. I mean, this is like if you have to come up with
You get
because
burnt
this
out.
isn't serialized. Well, yeah, if you had to come up with like serialized television, you can have a continuous story. But here they're like, all right, so what are we gonna do the next week? So what are we gonna do the next week? We gotta hire a specific cast. We gotta hire a specific director. it's not gonna be. It's not. There's no run into the next episode. It's like each episode is a different, like its own contained story. So I mean, you look at some TV shows that I don't know, like Goosebumps or stuff like that. They would have like a 3-part story for a particular story, but here it's like we're gonna do 2, and then we're gonna go into the arrival, and then we're gonna go to the shelter. I just like. I wish I researched this more, and this is probably a failing at my point of being a host, but you got to kind of wonder, like, did they have a whiteboard or a chalkboard where they're like, these are the topics we want to hit this season, and we got to figure out. And so they're like, oh, we did that already. Well, we'll figure out a different way to do it. And as we see, I
Oh,
think
but
what episode?
even if that wasn't the case, there's only so many stories, so many genres you can go into. And for the time, you look at what was big on TV. You had outer space, you had westerns, you had, your gumshoe type stories. You do kind of have to play within those parameters too. So you tell multiple stories in those
Well, I
environments.
do feel like they did play outside the box.
Oh, I know. I'm
I
just
mean, I
saying
mean,
that
yes, you're
those.
right. Like some of the best episodes in the series were sci-fi, and but
There was a
yeah.
lot less sci-fi this episode.
Very true.
Well, there was a lot less spacefaring episodes this season, which those are my favorite.
I know that you guys didn't talk about it, but I know that it's something that when I say it, you'll go, "Oh yeah, that's definitely the case." With the first season, like there wasn't that expectation from the studios either.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
you did have studio interference, but the further it goes along, obviously, the more fingers are in the pot.
Yeah,
And
no, I mean the we'll get into it specifically in the 4th season. The reason they did like hour-long episodes because the studio demanded it. That's why Rod Serling's like, after the 5th season, I'm done, because they demanded too much. This is the problem with any series, like that's why some studios and some companies will let their as long as the series produces a certain amount of episodes, they're kind of hands off, because this kind of stuff happens all the time where like I said, season 4 is going to be 18 episodes, and it's going to be all hour long episodes, and it's just like, it shows you what happens when studio interference comes into the mix. It's I don't know if that made any sense.
oh no, absolutely.
But I mean, it was another thing where it was becoming too cost effective. It was becoming too expensive, the series, I think, as it was moving along. I mean, you look at some of the people that were getting for the 3rd season or the 4th season. I mean, they were getting like Dennis Hopper and who was it that they got? Jack
Yeah, wasn't he
Weston, Burt
just
Reynolds.
not just starting, but he wasn't like Dennis Hopper yet, was he?
He wasn't
Yeah,
the
I think.
Dennis. Well,
Let's
because
say
he
he
would.
did which episode did he do? He did the one where he played the
He wasn't like just starting in Hollywood, but I mean, he wasn't the Dennis Hopper we came
He
to know.
wasn't Easy Rider.
Yeah, he wasn't like huge
the
yet.
Easy Rider was like real close. I think it was Easy Rider was like 65. I think it was. He's in a lot
He
of
was on the
wrestling.
come up, but they
Yeah, he
weren't
was in
having
like,
to pay him like it wasn't like sweeps week.
right. He was in like Rebel Without Cause. He was the Giant. He was in a lot of westerns. I think honestly, I think the Easy Rider was like his breakout. He's in Cool Hand Luke. He was in Super Mario Brothers. Did you know that, Jacob?
He's King Koopa.
Yep. He was also in Space Truckers.
Yep,
Was he?
he was the space trucker. He's the main
Yep.
character.
He was in Speed. Do we know he was in Speed? Come on.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
you guys didn't know that. You didn't know that. Shut up.
I
You
did
didn't know
not know he was in Speed. He's in Speed. Who's he in Speed?
that. He's a bus. He's a speed bus.
Speed.
He's a Rumblefish.
In French, Speed is pronounced. The movie Speed
The
is
Speed.
pronounced Speed.
Speed. Did you know he was in Blue Velvet?
Yeah.
Really? Didn't know that.
He's in Flashback. He was in True Romance.
Here comes
He was in
baby.
Waterworld. He's in Basquate. He was in Last Days of Frankie the Fly. Trev's getting pissed. I'm sorry, Trev. He was in Meet the Needles. Anyways,
Was that the one with the
Yeah.
bugs? Where there were giant
no,
bugs?
I don't think so.
No, that's
I
Meet
think that
the.
was Joe's apartment.
What's the one where they're It's got Christina Applegate in it, and they're giant cockroaches.
Was that Joe versus
it's like
Joe's
no-
apartment?
No, it's like a dark comedy from like the mid '90s.
Joe
Joe's
versus
apartment?
the volcano?
No, it's got Christina. I'm pretty sure it's Christina Applegate. It's almost like a wannabe fit. It's like got this 50s aesthetic, but it's in that time period, like the 90s, and they're giant cockroaches or bugs, but they look like human beings. What the fuck is the name of that movie? I think it's Meet the Somebody. Applegates? Appletons? Apple. No, I gotta know. And maybe
But
Christina Applegate's not in it. It's just a name. Meet the app. Meet the Applegates. Yeah, yeah. Meet the Applegates. Is Chris? Is that her? You know, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It has.
so
Where's the cast?
anyways, so
Go to
let's
Wikipedia.
continue. So yeah, season 4 is
I'm talking
has
about
a
Meet the
lot of
Applegates.
bigger people in it. And let's see. Paul Mazursky was in an episode. Interesting.
Ed Bigley Jr. Didn't he get in trouble?
I
I'm
think they
sorry.
all got in trouble.
No, I guess she's not in it. There's a girl who looks like her in it. Yeah, Meet the Applegates. Look it up.
Anyways, okay, so but yeah, so season 3, like I said, it's there's a lot of inconsistency going on, and like I said, you start out with something like 2, you get to the arrival, then you go into like a banger like the shelter, then we talk about the passerby, and I don't know, it's one of those things where I feel like there's so much good, but there's so much weirdness. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, yeah, I think we've talked a fair amount about it already, kind of how it does, the stretches of good, stretches of bad, stretches of meh, you know.
I think there's more. I don't want to say bad. There was a lot less memorable episodes this season than the previous two, in my opinion.
Looking ahead, it's weird because I was looking at this season and it's like, because I agree with you. I don't think that there's as many of the what you would consider to be like the classic Twilight Zone episodes. But it's
Mhm.
like I don't remember seasons 4 and 5 having like a ton of them, but they have to because there's so many coming up that I haven't seen yet.
I think once season 4 is over with, they do kind of right the ship a little bit with putting out some stuff, but it's just like you're starting to see the unfortunate end coming to the Twilight Zone, and the simple fact of like it's just I don't know. It almost feels like they're trying to come up with stuff, but they're just not really caring, or they're being
I don't
forced.
think I don't think it's a matter of not caring. I think it's a matter of burnt out and
That's what I get. Burnout.
I don't think you can say a lot of things about Twilight Zone. I don't think you can say that they don't care. I think as long as Rod
Well, the question
Serling
I
was
have
at the helm was you got what he had to give.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the question I have for you guys. Do you think Rod Serling should have taken a approach of like I hate to say it, like a Justin Roiland or somebody that is like the main showrunner, because he's technically I think still the showrunner or one of the showrunners of the series or a producer, and just kind of taking a backseat, just done like his intro stuff and let people take over, because that's what ends up happening. For instance, like you have David Lindelof and Carlton Cuse, who kind of took over after J.J. Abrams went off to do his movie stuff for Lost, or you see Seinfeld, and you see for the most part Seinfeld and like Friends. They had their showrunners like of the time, but for the most part, the people who create the shows, or the people that were the main thrust, eventually give up their kind of rights, not rights, but they give up their ideas and to other people to let the show run, so they can go off and do other things that will rejuvenate themselves. And I don't know if it was of the time or what, but maybe Ross Sterling didn't have that choice. Maybe wasn't given that ability to do that.
I think by this point, he had they had made over 100 episodes, and they were only 3 seasons in. Most shows don't have that much. His output, I think maybe his output, at least
Unless you're a
within that
90s
amount of
animated
time.
series.
Yeah, well, I think his output for at least that relatively short amount of time was just he was burnt. He's just like,
Yeah.
I don't, what, there's no more stories. I think it's just like, I can't tell anymore. He needed a break, it seemed like, because it did. It seemed like this season seemed like they were just letting stories pass that wouldn't have passed in the previous 2 seasons.
Or not
Not
giving
to the
them the
degree.
time, or not giving them the time to flesh them out the way that they needed.
Yeah, or that, and I just do. I mean, think about it. Your average TV show, I can't say back then, but I would hazard a guess that most TV shows in their 3rd season don't cross their 100th episode, especially nowadays. But I
No.
mean, back then, even, I mean, some animated things like cartoons and stuff, which are just like bang, pow, boom. But like, narrative driven TV typically isn't hitting 100 episodes in their 3rd season. They're putting out a massive amount of episodes, and each one was a totally you weren't playing off the last one. You were doing
No.
a whole new story every single time. I think at some point he was just like, I don't have any more to give right now.
I
So
do wonder,
somebody else
like,
give, and yeah, sure, that one works.
yeah. I do wonder though, like with that in mind, like you look at the follow-up Twilight Zones, like the 80s series, the 90s series. And I know you can't look at it from that perspective because, 3 years back to back, over 100 episodes in that time. Ah, but do you think it was Rod Serling that was at the, like, obviously he's the heart of the show, but without his kind of meticulous planning and the way that he did stuff, would it have survived if he hadn't been there in that capacity?
It definitely would have been different.
Well, I'm actually reading up on this as you guys are talking. I found some information where apparently they were having. Okay, so this show actually reminds me a lot of a show called Chuck, which was Zach.
Oh, that was a great show.
Well, but do you remember how much trouble it was having staying on the air? Like every
Oh
season,
yeah,
it'd be
it was
like
like
save the
it
show.
was Scrubs. It was like
Yeah.
Scrubs because it was so
But
different. They didn't know what to do with it.
right. But the reason I bring up Chuck is like we just said, they were struggling to keep it on the air. Apparently, after the 3rd season, Twilight Zone was actually canceled because they couldn't find sponsors, even though it was a juggernaut of a show. So it was replaced with this show called Fair Exchange, and Fair Exchange, of course, was canceled. And then they brought back Twilight Zone as an hour-long special because I'm assuming Fair Exchange was a comedy series, so maybe it was a half hour. But I think what ended up happening is James, I guess the executive at the time, who apparently was like the Twilight Zone's worst offender or whatever, was a guy named James T. Aubrey who worked for CBS, and apparently he hated the show so much that he wanted to cancel it. And I think this is what the main problem was. I think one, the show was way ahead of its time. I think two, the executives for CBS were fucking idiots. And three, I think it got so it pissed off Rod Serling so much that when they decided to cancel it after the 5th season, because they brought back for the 4th season, then he's like, we'll do another season. And then, or he's like, okay, you'll be brought back for another season. I think they just said, fuck this, we're done. And I think
Yeah.
Rod Serling went off, of course, to do Night Gallery and stuff. But yeah, apparently James T. Aubrey is the reason for a lot of these Twilight Zone's issues.
Well, you
I-
look at like the things that survived. Desilu Productions, which is Lucille Ball. She managed to save like Star Trek and shows like that from CBS. Like
How is she
kinda,
never on the? How is she never on the Twilight Zone? Actually, that's kind of
I mean,
surprising
she had
because
enough of her own other stuff going, though. I
She would have cost
mean,
a fortune
oh
back
man,
then. At that point,
yeah.
that would
Yeah,
have been
that's
like
true.
I don't know, what's a show nowadays? Some show nowadays getting The Rock or
Tom
something,
Cruise,
or
yeah.
Tom Cruise. Yeah, Tom Cruise. It would have been like them getting Tom Cruise. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, actually, I'll give you a good example. I don't know if you guys have watched the show The Bear, but there's an episode where they bring in Jamie Lee Curtis, the comedian dude that had the drug problem, which is every comedian.
There's a
Uh,
lot
he's the
of
one that
money
did.
behind
He's the
these
one with
shows,
the.
though. That's like a
No,
Showtime show.
not
isn't
Joel
it?
McHale.
No, it's FX. No, Joe McHale was actually on the show.
We're talking
They
network
brought
TV
in.
though. They depend
Yeah.
on sponsors, not.
Well, but I'm just saying you're talking about like expensive people. I'm assuming the 4th season and the 5th season, the actors that they were bringing in, like Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds is pretty huge in the 60s. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right.
No, he was more
Not by
70s.
not by that
Was
point.
he?
Still, yeah, he
Yeah.
wasn't huge yet. I mean
I
that
mean,
would be like because see TV now is so different because we got like HBO and Showtime and Netflix and all, and they have so much money. They're movie studios. I mean, they actually are movie studios,
Yeah,
but
true.
they're throwing movie studio money and Disney and all that at these TV shows. But if you look at like your sitcoms, so your CBS's now, which is still around, these network TV, yeah, they don't have the money to have Brad Pitt. Well, they did have Brad Pitt on Friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
only
think that
reason
was
he was
well, that was
on
because
that
he
show
was
was because
dating.
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, he was
it was.
dating one of the main characters, but you know they don't have that kind of money usually.
Well, I mean, it's just. I guess it all depends. I mean, like, I don't know. As the series moves along and the actors become more famous, I think is when it gets. I'm sure. I'm sure it was not cheap to hire some of these actors though, because you. I mean, I don't know who was in the season 4 because we haven't gotten to it. It's been so long since I've seen them, but some of these actors I'm pretty sure were pretty well known in the 60s and 50s and stuff like that. So
Well, that's the other thing is some of these episodes we look at and it'll
you
have
got
like
Bill Bixby.
William Shatner and stuff like that, and we're like, they got William Shatner on there, yeah, but he wasn't
Yeah, it was before.
William
Right.
Shatner. He
He
wasn't
was
Captain
free
Kirk.
track.
And,
Yeah. He was.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, we look at it and we're like, wow, they got like some huge names in here, but they weren't huge at the time.
Yeah. Well, it's like you look
It's
at like Jack Nicholson getting his start in Little Shop of Horrors, or
Yeah,
Clint Eastwood. Oh God, there was some
Paint Your
goofy
Wagon.
ass B movie.
Harrison
Uh,
Ford and never
Yeah, Guns of Navarone.
yeah.
yeah.
Actually, it's ironic how interconnected the Twilight Zone, Lucille Ball, and Star Trek really are when you
Well,
think
they're
about
all
it.
CBS.
Well, no, I'm just saying like the Twilight Zone is pretty much one of the reasons Star Trek and you see Lucille Ball is one of the reasons Star Trek even got greenlit is because of how
Oh yeah.
popular that sci-fi fantasy stuff was. And I'm sure Rod Serling was good friends with Gene Roddenberry and Lucille Ball. I think was good friends with Gene Roddenberry
Well,
and
everybody knew everybody, I would imagine,
yeah.
especially if
But
you're
yeah,
at a
they
specific
knew
studio.
everyone.
Yep.
Studio
They knew
54.
everyone in bed. Everyone in bed.
Oh, good
Everybody
Lord.
all slept with each other.
Absolutely.
Um,
So, what do you guys think of our list as it stands right now for this season?
as one Jay Sherman once said, it stinks. No, I'm kidding.
Are
Well,
there
no, I
any?
was gonna ask
What's
you,
the
like,
one? If you could change one thing on our list, only one, what would you change?
no, there is not a season 1 list here, Jacob, so you can't go there.
I know that. Anything that goes below number 31, I'm on board with. But like seriously,
Um,
what's the one that sticks out to you? And you're like, why is that there? Either too
the
high or
Hunt.
too low.
I put the Hunt a little bit higher, but I mean, I don't know. Once upon a time, maybe.
Which one was Person or Persons Unknown? I remember us talking about the title. What was that one?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
Son of a bitch, I gotta look this up now. No,
I remember talking about the title.
persons are persons unknown.
I remember the title being very like I'm like I guess that goes along with it. We talked about that. Like it's not very indicative of what the
Man discovers that all traces of identity of is it the one where his wife doesn't recognize him? No, he
Oh,
wakes
that's
up. He
right.
wakes up
He catches the
like nobody recognizes him or
Oh
some shit.
yeah, he wakes up
yeah.
and he's like, "Yeah, bro, I'd take my shoes off and all that," and like she don't know who the hell he is, and then later on, he doesn't know who she is. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, the Hunt's better than that. The Hunt's better than that one. The Dummy. Which one was the Dummy?
This is the ventriloquist guy, the dummy takes him over.
Yeah, very Tales from the Crypt vibes of that one.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, that one, I like the vibe, but I honestly, I think the Hunt was better than that one. So I'm kind of on board with you, Nick. Kick the can.
Way lower. Should have been way lower.
Yeah.
See, I would look at, and I know you guys liked it, the It's a Good Life. That one never appealed to me very much. Like I love the movie version.
Which one was that?
That's where he wishes people into the cornfield. Like you got the little kid that like
Well,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think you know why I think that is because Joe Dante is an amazing
Oh
director.
no. I
I'm just
agree,
saying like
but
that's probably
I couldn't
yeah.
help but look at that episode, and also I had a real hard time detaching that episode from the movie version.
yeah.
Yeah,
I won't
Joe
Like
Dante
I
did.
can appreciate what it is, but it's never been one of those episodes that appealed to me personally. Like I would have replaced that with oh, what's the one? Once Upon a Time. But having said that, I really have an affinity for Buster Keaton and I love silent movies. So that is right up my alley. So I would have like flipped those two, but that's me.
I don't think Still Valley was as bad as you guys did. I don't think it was great, but like to be number 96, I don't think it was that bad. I don't, once again, by no means do I say it's great, but I didn't think every time I see that one down there, I'm like, that was It was but it was like I didn't think it was. It's in bad territory right there. But I know you
Yeah.
guys hated it.
Which one?
Still Valley, the one with the
Is
guy.
it-
He had the hillbilly guy had the book of spells that said witchcraft.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
gotta
I
look
think I was
past some
pissed.
things like that, but I didn't think it was terrible. You guys really didn't like it.
Yeah. I
Quality
don't
of
think
Mercy. What was
uh,
that one?
that one was where they trade like
Yeah,
the
Dean
Japanese
Stockwell.
soldier and the
That's what I
and
thought. Yeah,
yeah.
and Dean Stockwell's in it, right? That
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I don't think I hated or I don't think I felt the same way about Midnight Sun as you guys. I appreciated that one a little bit more than you guys did, I think.
I appreciated the
You,
idea behind Midnight Sun, and I didn't think it was terrible. I don't. The Arrival's the one with the guy who I thought looked like Patton, right? That's the plane where he gets behind it and they do like the test and all that. Is that the Arrival?
which one?
The
Yes.
Arrival.
The
Yeah, it's
Rivals
like
were-
yeah,
investigator.
the crazy guy in the
See,
airport.
I think it's better than that one, Midnight Sun. I thought Midnight Sun was fine. I remember the end came across as kind of contrived to me, where it was like, oh, it's backwards day and everything's reversed. I mean, I see what they were doing with it. I didn't hate it, but I was just kind of like, I knew that as soon as it happened, I was like, yep, that's what this is. It's reversed. She's dreaming it because she wants it to be hot. Dreaming extremes for her extreme situation.
yes.
But I do think it's better than looking at it around it. I think the passerby should be further down. I hate that episode. That episode sucked. I don't hate it as much
I
as
mean,
the
it-
jungle.
I
But
mean,
I hate
it's,
it. 4
it's pretty
o'clock
far
was-
down. I mean, but is it worse than a piano in the house? Cavender is coming. Still Valley.
You know,
The
straight
Gift,
up,
4 o'clock.
a piano in the house should perpetually be at 69.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
because
do
you guys
think
want to say
it's-
69 every week.
No, I,
think
want
it's
to say
worse-
piano in the house at number 69.
I don't remember the gift, but I would take it down to above the gift. What is the gift?
The
What was
gift is
that?
where the little Spanish kid gets a gift from the white guy.
Oh yeah, it's
the
like
alien.
Jesus complex.
Oh yeah, okay. We're talking. What it's that forgettable. I can't remember which one we're talking about now.
It's set in a Mexican town.
No. I'm talking about the one I was talking about before that. The passerby.
That was
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Well, no, I remember that one. I just couldn't remember which, like, literally where I was trying to move one around.
Got it.
The passerby and the gift are kind of like on the same level of I dislike this episode. This sucks. I think 4 o'clock was better than both of those. I would put 4,
Ooh,
and I didn't like 4 o'clock. I didn't think it was great by any means, but it held my attention more than the gift or the passerby.
that's
Passerby
fair.
sucked so bad. It's better than the jungle. I will give it that. I would absolutely put the passerby at number 36, and then I would put the gift and whatever above it. 4 o'clock. I put 4 o'clock above it, and then the gift above it. Keep that the same way.
Do you put the passerby at number 99 or 100?
Well, on this list right here, I put it at 36.
Yeah.
Second to last, above the jungle, just ever so slightly.
What was the
Which-
mirror? Was that the one where the lady like
That
saw
was
her
with
reflection?
guy.
That was
No,
not the season,
The
was
mirror
it?
is with Fidel Castro. The Fidel Castro
Oh,
guy.
yeah,
yeah.
Peter Falk.
Yeah.
That one was
Isn't
weird.
it amazing, like,
was-
how we watch a series and we actually forget the episodes? Like, that's how long you spend on a
I feel like we
season.
forgot a lot of them this season.
Yeah.
And it's not
But
even
I
how
think,
long it took
too,
us to
look
do
at-
it.
But well, yeah, but I was gonna say, look at how long, like, because we had a couple of substantial breaks in there too.
Yeah, blame me. I know. I'm sorry.
Not all on you, man.
And the
I,
little
I
people, I remember bits and pieces of that. You never
That's
saw.
where
Oh, that's on the planet when
Yep.
they make the statue and all that.
Yeah.
it's
I mean, I
like
didn't think it
it's
was
like
great.
the Futurama episode where Fry eats that weird egg
and in
salad.
the end, the other giants come and they're like, ah.
Yep.
I thought that one was. Well, that was a space one too. That you already got me. You got a space one. I'm already on board. I like. I would push that one up. I don't think it was great, but
Is
was
there
fun.
any? Is there any that, like, the top sections that you're surprised that made it up there? Like, for instance, like when we talked about, like, the grave, I didn't think that would be so high. Or
I'm.
the trade-ins, which I know I'm not a huge fan of, but you guys are.
What got
I-
the grave up there, I think, was everything that happened before because you think about the end whenever you think of the grave, but all the stuff in the bar, because most of it, if you think of that episode, the vast majority of it is in that bar of just
Yeah.
like these people, the banter between them. And if I remember correctly, that banter was all really well done.
Yeah.
Like that was really good. But if you just think of the episode as a whole, it's kind of like, what happened here? This dude like passed out. He like fell over, knife or something. I
Oh,
don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it
he
wasn't the
went to
crazy lady
No,
with the
he
plate.
he
he was
stabbed his
told
own thing and he
right. Well, he
tripped
was
or whatever.
told that he had to go out to the grave and like stick his
Oh, no,
knife in the grave.
yeah,
and
I remember what happened. I'm just saying
yeah,
the episode itself, when you think back, you're like, it was kind of a wash. But all that banter between them, I think that's, if I remember correctly, that was one of the things that like pushed it
yeah.
on up a little bit because that was well done. As far as
I
the
mean,
top,
I love the simple fact that like had the crazy lady with the plate.
little girl lost. Which one was that? That's
That was the one that was kind of sci-fi interdimensional poltergeist
oh
type
yeah,
thing.
she's going through the
Yeah.
wall.
Yep.
And
You didn't like how it was
trans.
shot. I like it. I like it. A little girl lost. You didn't like the camera work at the when they go into the dimension.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. It's like the fuck. I mean, yeah. And there was like something in there. I thought they could have done a lot better with that. What was I like the idea behind Little Girl Lost, and most of the execution. It just had some things, some sticking points.
Yeah.
Trade-ins, which was
That was where the or the old couple go back in to move their
yeah
consciousness into younger
the
bodies.
robot or the bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought yeah. Well, it's at the top. That's why. Um, it's a Good Life. Which one was that?
That was the little guy that wished everybody into the cornfield.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, I made all
We
the
got-
I
we got
made it
that-
rain
In
nonstop.
retrospect, I can admit that It's a Good Life would probably go down some. The movie version is what I just have a real hard time separating them. And looking back now, I can say, especially since it's, you get a different perspective when you look at the list
Oh
when it's all
yeah.
said and done. I do think just based on that episode and trying to distance myself from the movie version, Joe Dante's version, yes, I agree. I think It's a Good Life would go down because I think Five Characters in Search of an Exit is superior to It's a Good Life. I think Five Characters in Search of an Exit, I would put it number 4. I think it should go all the way up to number 4. The
could see
trash can
that.
episode.
Well, and I think too, I think too, Alex would probably agree with you on that because that's one of the like. I think she moved it there, or she suggested it going there based on the way our list was laid out at that point.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is we don't see on this list is our actual list. There's probably something else right around in there. We're like,
I
well,
mean, do you guys want me to send you the actual list?
no, let's just make it really
Eh.
convoluted then.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I'd rather just speculate. No, I guarantee that's what it is. Right around that area, like probably at what is this number 17? Probably number 16 is something that.
Well,
No,
number
number
16
16
is a good life.
It's a good life.
Oh well, the number 15. I don't know. Well,
No, number 15 is Nightmare as a Child. Number 18 is Nick of
I
Time.
don't know why the fuck it's there. It's there, and I would move it up
Because
further.
anal, that's why it's there.
I would move it up further. I would put it up like I literally,
Well,
as far as just this list alone, I would put it at number 4 above Little Girl Lost.
What?
But underserved
Five
man
characters
is,
in Search of an Exit.
yeah, I really like
Trash
that
can
episode.
up.
And that is a
I
crucial
tried to
episode
get
for
you
me.
guys to move it higher, but you refused to do it. Like I literally, that's the
am
one
gonna go
episode.
back
I
You
and
know
did
what?
try
It's
to-
always
film.
my fault. Thanks. I appreciate
I don't think
that.
I
I
refuse
blame
because
you. I
I've
blame
always
all
liked
of
that
you guys.
episode.
Bullshit.
I've always liked that episode.
No shit, Triv. Not bullshit. No shit.
Piss off.
No, the one episode I'm in total agreement with. It's a Good Life. I'd probably move that down. The trade-ins, I definitely not would put that at number 14. I don't know. You guys were smoking some kind of weird dope that day. I don't know.
Well,
what
so
was
was your
going on.
face.
Which
The
one?
You
trade
put that above.
Trade-ins. Oh yeah. Oh, that is. Well, I think it. If I remember correct, that one was another sentiment. And see, Triv and I are sentimental souls.
I'm a sentimental
And
asshole.
Nick, you're,
I'm
you're
cold-hearted, bitch.
Yes, you are.
And I
That's
do.
why my favorite
Those
episode is the
episodes,
monsters that do on Maple Street because I'm cold-hearted.
Yep.
especially when we come off of a string of kind of like mediocre or bad episodes, to have one that just kind of has like a real sentimental, but like not like sappy, but kind of a bit of a sentimental.
We need ones that give us a warm hug.
Yeah, some hope here or there. I think that it just at the time, I think that has something to do with it too. The time at which you watch these, it just kind of, it hits you different. I mean, looking at it right now, I'm like, I mean, I can see it. I am surprised to see the trade-ins at number 5 on our list of season 3. But you know, I do think back to, I remember the end of it really resonated with me, and I was like, I like that. It gave us a lot to talk about. I remember that.
It did. And I think the conversation that we have drives a lot of our ratings too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the question I have for you, Triv, you and I were both gone an episode of this season. I was gone for Jeff Myrtlebank, and you were gone for
Dead Man Shoes.
Dead
Dead
Man's
Man's Shoes.
Shoes. Do you
Just to
think?
point out, I did not miss any, except for that one where I forgot to show up and you guys just didn't record.
Oh yeah. That was all right. It was a Christmas episode. I was already
was the
bogged
Woody.
down with reviews when I cared. So
I still say we should go back and do that segment.
I think we should, yeah.
We'll do it next Christmas,
Oh,
or
man.
when we feel
Next
don't feel like recording.
We'll record when we don't feel like recording.
We're on our
I have-
fifth hour
Sounds like a plan.
episode. Okay, let's not record. Okay, we're gonna record this 45-minute intro piece to Twilight Zone. The
Shit.
most traumatic thing in Twilight Zone history, outside of the
Um,
passerby.
Do you think those two episodes are in the right place, or because you missed them, would you put it higher or lower? Like I thought Jeff Myrtlebank was fine. I actually would place that a little higher because I thought it was a decent episode. Apparently, you guys hated it.
I didn't love that one.
It
I
was
didn't hate
fine.
it.
It was
I
an
didn't hate
interesting
it.
episode, and I think we had a lot of interesting conversation. But I feel like the conversation we had is what made it interesting.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a Brit, an Island,
yeah.
and Jacob.
I think that
Um,
it was better than One More Pallbearer. But One More Pallbearer, which is right above it, really just shit the bed in the end.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, okay, I'm on board with this, and then the end was just like, the fuck. It just shit all over. It just stood up, it crouched down, spread them wide goatsy style, and just let it fall right out. And you got to like witness
But I mean,
it
he cried to
at
the
that
he
like
cried to the
slow-mo
statue
guys
from
YouTube channel kind of
Beetlejuice.
camera way.
Thank
He
you for
cried to
that. I
the-
wouldn't have been able to figure out what you were really thinking without those visuals. Thank you.
It did, man. The end of that episode was terrible. It's like, what the fuck is
I
going on
forget
here?
what happened at
He
the end
ended
of
up in
that
the, because remember he set up that whole thing to make everybody think it was the end of the world.
Oh,
Like the bomb was
yeah,
going
yeah,
off, kind of like
yeah.
matinee style. And
Yeah,
then
he cried to the little statue from
he
Beetlejuice.
lost his shit and he went out like in front of his building, and like he was seeing the world destroyed, but he was just curled up in a ball in the middle of New York, and like security was like, sir, what's wrong? And he's like, "Ah, it's all gone." And it, like, the idea, I'm like, okay, this could have been done in a way that could have worked, and you still had the same idea. It would have been okay, but the way they did it was just like fucking terrible.
Yeah. Well, it feels like, it's like I think it was first season we talked about those episodes that it felt like a personal vendetta for Serling. Like he knew someone that was whatever way.
That guy he was a
Yeah.
representation of somebody.
Oh god, yeah.
Do you think
don't
that's what was, do you think that's what was happening in this season? He's like, fuck it, we're gonna get vendetta-fied and we're just gonna like take down everyone.
hell, why
Fuck
not?
CBS. You think every episode was about CBS's John Aubrey or whatever?
Oh, that'd be
Like, fuck that
hilarious
guy.
if it was.
He's calling actually, if you look at each episode title, the first letter is an anagram for "fuck you, CBS." You go to hell, you
That would be
stupid little
amazing.
fucks.
That would be amazing. That would be a lot more than 37
there's-
episodes though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you gotta make it last.
37
it's like
letters, I mean, you can get away with a lot.
I
Exactly.
know. It's like the
In-
Beetlejuice joke in Community. You gotta make it last.
Well, and in terms of Dead Man's Shoes, I think I like that better than you guys did, but I wasn't in on the conversation, so obviously that does change things up. Like I remember that episode from different marathons, and it's that whole possession thing, and I like horror, and not that this went so much in a horror direction, but it was fine. It didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't hate that episode. I thought that episode was fun. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was entertaining.
Fine
It was
enough
kinda
for
just-
75.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly.
But I mean, also we hit our 100th episode of this season. So I mean, what do you guys
That's
think
crazy.
about that? I mean, I blame myself. You know, I had to do a
I mean,
podcast.
you
God,
decided.
Triv.
I was gonna say you're the one that started all this bullshit. I'm just
I
along for
blame
the
Triv
ride.
for that. Triv's like, we got to do a podcast. I'm like, I don't want to do a podcast. We're doing a podcast. I'm like, all
I'm
right.
pretty sure
And
I
then,
never
like-
said anything like
And then
that.
like, well, no, like 11 episodes later, we're bringing Jacob on. I'm like, I don't want to bring Jacob on. He's mean to me. We're bringing Jacob on anyways. All right, Jacob, you're on
Well,
our podcast.
I mean,
it could have been the other way around. I don't know.
Do I say I'm sorry? I'm not sure how I'm supposed to reply to this.
I am curious how that came about. Like, I came on episode 8, and then a few more episodes. How did that conversation go? I mean, who said bring that guy on full time?
Oh, okay. Here's how this worked out. So
We tried.
I
When
think
a
I-
man and a
8.
woman love each other, no, I'm kidding.
We tried the other 7 that came before you, and they all said no. You are our
Well,
first choice after all 7 of them.
Well, here's exactly what happened. I'll tell you what happened. I said when we were recording, I had mentioned to Trev. I said, at some point we should probably get a third person on here. And I think I had either known you or I had talked to you or something had happened. We had known each other. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
we're
okay, we'll invite
authors,
people
all of
on
us.
as what's up?
We were all separately. Like,
Yeah,
Triv had
Yeah.
already done some collaborations.
Oh yeah. Well, we
But,
knew each other at that point. It wasn't that
yeah.
damn long ago.
Yeah, we knew.
Well, no,
we
but, like,
known each other. We
Like, yo, I was
Worked
there
together.
and you were there, and oh my gosh, you were there too.
But anyways, I was asking. I had asked Triv. I said, I said we should bring Jacob on for an episode. You said you wanted to do what you thought. What I can't remember what episode you thought it
He
was.
thought it was the
I
invaders.
thought it was the Invaders
Oh
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
lonely,
and
because I didn't know the name.
I brought him on, and you did, you were like really funny and shit. So I was like, Triv, we should invite Jacob on, and Jacob's like, sure. What do I get paid? I like nothing. He's like, okay, I'll do
I
it.
never said
No, yeah,
knew
that's
I
pretty much
wasn't
what
getting
I said. I said it was like after that episode, I said we should invite Jacob on, and she's like, yeah, I agree, and we waited 3
The
episodes.
real
and
reason that
first-
he brought you on is because I suck at this.
yes, even after 100 episodes, I'm still telling Jacob she sucks. We gotta
Yeah,
get rid of
I
her.
figured.
We
I've
can't
had
get rid of
2
her. She's
failed
like a mole.
podcasts before this, so don't think you suck.
And we're still. I mean, you don't know. We could be failing.
Well, I'll tell you
There's
this:
still
I
enough
would
time.
suck as a leader of this like as a host of this podcast, because the one time I had to do it for Jeff Myrtleback, and I was terrible.
You guys act like you're terrible if you take over for me. I laugh because it's like each podcast I've ever done, it's like if I leave, like if people are like, "Oh, it's gonna collapse," I'm like, "You have no faith in your guys' self." It's like the third season
I
has no
have-
faith in itself.
I have plenty of reason not to have faith in myself.
I think
I just
great.
You're just saying that you just want to kiss my ass because I send you Funkos and things.
I mean,
well, I mean that's the only reason I keep you on because I don't want to get rid of that. I mean, come on, Triv. I have priorities.
I hope so.
I mean, yeah. In all honesty, that's how it worked out. I said we should in the middle of the episode. Hey, Triv, you want to invite Jacob on? Like, yeah, sure, why not? And that's how it worked. And I asked you the next day, and you came on after Perchance to Dream, so it worked out pretty
I
well.
know. Right. Such bullshit.
You know what? That could be a Twilight Zone episode in itself.
The Perchance
Like
to
going
Dream,
back in time to stop that from happening, and you actually cause it.
That may have already happened. You don't know. That's
It
why I
could've.
just gave up.
Anything else you guys want to talk about in season 3? Like anything you want to bring up about it? Once again, it started with the shirtless Brett Reynolds and ended with a really bad makeup job of
Pierce
Donald
Brosnan,
Pleasance.
not Pierce Brosnan. Charles Bronson.
Oh, okay, shirtless Charles Bronson, and it ended with a really bad makeup job of but Donald Pleasance.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Of all of the guest star or quote, not guest stars, but the highlighted individuals, is there anyone that stands out as a favorite for you guys?
Hmm.
Lee Marvin. Was it Lee Marvin in the grave? Having him
Yeah.
and what's his
Yeah.
face? Who was
Yep.
who
That
else
a
was
good
in the
one.
grave?
Lee Van Cleef.
Yeah, Lee Von Cleef. Like
Without his,
those were big
mustache.
actors back in the day. weren't
Oh
they?
yeah. Yeah, very
Without
much.
his mustache,
sure they
so
weren't-
it was like
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was him.
I mean, there wasn't was there a huge amount of famous people? I mean, having what's her face from the Cavenders coming.
Oh
Kinda
yeah,
nice.
Carol Burnett was she was cool. I was gonna say between her and Keaton were my 2 faves, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
of
that was a
era,
nice
so-
coup to get. That was a nice coup to get Buster Keaton.
Oh yeah,
Let's see.
Well, he did all kinds of that stuff. I mean, he did Sunset Boulevard in kind of the same kind of way, and so.
Yeah,
I don't remember who else in. I like the one Al
Dean
Pacino.
Stockwell.
Okay, how about this? Of all the characters that make an appearance throughout these episodes, is there one that stands out as a favorite, or is one that you absolutely cannot stand?
Yeah, the hunt, the mountain man from the Hunt. I love that guy. Him and his raccoon, his dog. Because
Jethro.
he's like he's just the way he's a very
Jethro.
small simpleton guy that stars off death or stars off what's his face, Satan. Hail Satan.
No,
Richard Kiel is the alien from
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
that's what I was gonna say. The Jaws, wasn't he Jaws?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
The agent
Which was
guy
the-
from Rance McGrew, like the devil talent agent guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I had to think about that for a second as well.
So I know that we have the Shelter as our number one, but each of you, is the Shelter your number one out of this season, or would there be?
Mine would
another
probably
one?
be Death's Head Revisited, but Shelter is a classic piece of material. Classic, I tell you, classic.
I go
would-
between the Shelter and To Serve Man,
I could see that.
and maybe even 5 characters in Search of an Exit. I honestly, that's my top 3 for this season. Is in no particular order. Well, 5 characters would probably be number 3, but between the Shelter, Serve Man, 5 characters in Search of an Exit, that's my top 3.
I think Alex would be very proud of you.
I've
The fact
always
that he's
liked
calling
5
it
characters.
5 characters.
I've always In Search of a Trash Can. If you get to that, I've always liked that episode. It is for me, that is quintessential Twilight.
Oh yeah.
You say Twilight Zone and the Invaders, the whatever, Serve Man, 5 characters, things like that all pop up into my head. The airplane one that we haven't gotten to yet.
The airplane. Wasn't that perchance a
well,
dream?
Nightmare at 30,000
Nightmare
feet.
at 30, yeah. Those are what I think of when I think of Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah.
You know the best episode of the Twilight Zone period? Perchance a dream.
Oh god.
That one unfortunately comes to mind now. Not because of the episode.
For myself, I would say I think The Shelter still sits as number 1 for me, but I would probably put Little Girl Lost and Once Upon a Time as my top 3. I think.
My top 3 would be The Gift, 4 O'Clock, in the Jungle.
Contrarian in the house, or
No, I'm kidding.
Contrarian in the house.
No, mine would be The Shelter, Death's Head Revisited, and Once Upon a Time.
Good choices.
Yeah, that's how I land. That's how I roll. And then 5
I mean,
characters
it's
in
okay
Search
for
of
you
an
guys to be wrong.
Every once in a while we gotta be right because it's bad to be wrong.
You're
Or is
Ooh.
it wrong to be bad? Or is it
Cruel
good
to be kind.
I don't know. I was watching Flintstones the other day, the movie, and Halle Berry is super hot, and she's like, she's like, why are you so bad? Because I'm so good at it.
It's so
Yeah.
weird.
I don't know. It's the Flintstones movie. It's a
Yeah.
weird movie.
It's a very weird movie.
You'll see the Grand Canyon in about 2 billion years. Like, what does that mean? And they fight a pterodactyl. Isn't that series supposed to be set in the future?
What series?
The Flintstones.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. It's like the Pixar theory where everything is connected. The thought is that the Jetsons happens and then the Flintstones is actually beyond them in the future, I think.
And people put way too much thought into this shit.
They do. They
You
absolutely
never
do.
put too much
you
thought
wanna-
into
you wanna-
animated TV series.
I was gonna say, you want a real mind fuck, the Pixar theory is insane. Basically
Yeah,
everything is connected.
Yeah, like the cars in the future after humanity is eviscerated.
The Hanna-Barbera, where does Jabba Jaws fall then?
Oh, that's heaven is Jabberjaw.
Yeah, he's still in the Wacky Racers universe.
Him and Captain Caveman.
Oh man, that was always awesome.
Captain.
What about Muttley? Is it Muttley?
Caveman. Who?
Is it Muttley? Is that the dog? The dog with
yeah.
the
It was Snidely Whiplash.
Well, they're all
Yeah.
riding on the USA Cartoon Express. That's all I know.
All right. So, any closing thoughts on season 3?
What do you
We
think
need
the
more
most memorable
pianos
episode?
in.
Not the best. The house. What do you think the most memorable, seriously, the most memorable episode this season? When you think season 3, what episode defines season 3? Not your
Disturb
top,
man.
just the most memorable one for you.
Oh, for me, I mean, the most memorable episode to people is gonna be Disturb Man. Mine is oh God, probably Death's Head Revisited. 'Cause that's the one that kind of hit. That's the one that kind of took me off guard about. I was not expecting an episode like that, so
I know you were moved by it.
I was crying. It made me
You
cry.
touched,
You
touched-
made him cry his own tears.
it touched you in places you hadn't been touched since kindergarten.
Right. It's like the Jodie Whittaker era. Want to talk about it?
Just this first season. The rest of it.
Well, from a just us three perspective, definitely changing of the guard, because the heated battleness that came down because of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was actually looking at that and I was like, I don't know if that's my most memorable, but it is up there. Because I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to be. I did not, while we were watching that episode, and it is more recent, I wasn't expecting it to be very impactful. And then when it got there, I was like, oh, you know what? That was really well done.
But yeah, as far as like episodes that define Twilight Zone, I mean, I would say that either The Dummy or To Serve Man, just because of what they are. But yeah, for us personally, or me personally, I don't know. I suppose
I like the dummies vibe or tone. I didn't think it was a great episode, honestly. It's like Tales from the Crypt forgot what studio to go to and went to the Twilight Zone.
and the
I really
decade.
like, I really like the vibe, but I wouldn't say it doesn't define the season for me. I would say either The Serve Man, that's just an easy one, or
Oh,
5
yeah.
characters in search of a trash can.
I would agree with that.
Is there an episode that like you like that you weren't that you didn't think you were gonna like? Is there an episode in there?
Like, well, since I don't remember a lot of them, like from their names especially, I can't say I went in saying, no, I'm not gonna like this one. I went into the only one that really like, besides To Surf Man, which I knew that one, I didn't dislike it. The only one that really that I remembered from the name, just beat for beat, was Kick the Can, because of the movie. And but no, I went in knowing I didn't really care for the one in the movie. And the one here I thought was about the same. It wasn't the same, exactly the same, but like the feeling was kind of like, I was like, it's whatever. As far as like maybe like after a few minutes of watching it, thinking, I don't know about this one. Really, the only one that did that for me would be that one we were talking about a minute ago, the Changing of the Guard. That was the one that about halfway through I was kind of like, I don't think I'm gonna love this one. It's probably just gonna be like middle of the road for me. And I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. Trying to look at the other ones, I don't think none of the other ones really hit me like that.
Yeah,
Made me
fair.
say, oh yeah, I like this one a lot more. Trade-ins was kind of like that, but I liked its setup. It had an interesting little neat setup. I will say this, I thought I was gonna like I Sing the Body Electric. I thought I was gonna like that more than I did.
You just don't like the kid playing at the eyeballs.
That was the best part. No, that one actually, the first half of that I was into and I was kind of liking it, and it was the second half that I was kind of like, I felt like it plateaued and it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
could see
really.
that.
And I thought I had a good setup.
I remember enjoying the mirror, and then we watched the mirror again, and I realized I didn't like the mirror.
Well, I think I think again, it's that critical perspective thing that does change your perceptions of things.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Well, it's like-
I could list a lot of them on this list that, like, just in casual viewing, if it came up on a marathon or whatever, I was always a fan of. But you get talking critically, like Frisbee or Hocus Pocus and Frisbee. That was always one of those episodes that I was really enjoyed just because it was goofy and kind of weird. But when you sit down and actually talk about it, it's kind of like, it's okay. It's nothing special.
The Jungle,
I mean,
I knew the basic premise of The Jungle because it's more or less been done before. So going into that, I had a pretty good idea what it was going to be. And I expected that one to be better. Like, and then not even halfway through, I was like, oh no, this is not good.
Yeah.
This is
I
going
mean, I
down
was
the wrong road.
I was
You
expecting the
chose
fugitive to
unwisely.
tell. I was expecting the fugitive to tell me who the one-armed man was, and I didn't get that.
Yeah, definitely some false advertisement there.
Yeah.
The passerby, I expected to at least be decent because it was Twilight Zone, but it sucks so fucking bad that I was like, Jesus Christ, this is awful. And then Abraham Lincoln showed up to make it even worse. Nothing against Abraham Lincoln, but it was just kind of like, really, guys? That's the road we're going?
I mean, to
Young-
be fair, the thing that surprised me the most is the appreciation from Triv, who was appreciative of the fact there was so many shirtless men in this season.
Well, you know.
Was she appreciative of that, or were you? Because
Well, I think that was just
Charles
as much
Bronson
you.
showing up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there
He
was
like,
there
look at
was
this sexy motherfucker right here. Ooh,
no, there
you
was
are my
what's
death
his
wish.
face? Robert Redford, I think, was shirtless too.
Yeah.
Was
He
he?
was.
I
Yeah.
remember him. He was death, but was he shirtless?
Yep. At
Yeah,
one
I
point
think
he was.
With the old
Yeah.
lady?
Yeah,
His
nothing
mom?
in the nothing
That's
in
probably
the
she how
dark.
she died. She saw Robert Redford shirtless. She's like,
Oh,
oh,
Lord. Look at those pectorails.
I was surprised how, like, because I remember Young Men's Fancy and thinking it was kind of, it's whatever. But it actually kind of, I'm not going to say made me mad, but kind of put me off. It's like this son of a bitch, I don't know. But
Oh, that's the one with the mom in the house.
yeah,
That one
yeah,
had a lot of potential,
it did.
I felt like.
so
In the
I
end, that
ha-
was another one I didn't like the end, how they executed that. It suddenly became this supernatural thing or whatever. I don't know. But I was like, they could have done that differently. They did not need to show the mom. I think I said that already.
Yeah.
So I will say the award for best pantless episode is, of course, Once Upon a Time with
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
And best fireworks on head.
yeah, exactly.
That was the time machine was involved sparklers.
Oh, yeah. That's the Buster Keaton one.
Yep. And then he
Yeah, yeah.
steals the pants and yeah.
That was a neat episode. I'm not going to sit here and say it was like the best, but it was really neat. It really said that was the Buster Keaton episode.
Oh yeah.
And it knew it. It wore that badge with honor on it, just right there. And I like that. They just kind of, hey, we're going to take a break from Twilight Zone and just let a little bit of Twilight Zone, but this is Buster Keaton, my friend. And I thought that was really neat.
And I think that's probably what, and I know that Carol Burnett was not early in her career, but a little bit, it was before she hit her
wasn't
stride.
yeah.
Right, she wasn't working the way that she did a couple of years later, but I think that's probably the thing that held back Cavender's coming was you got glimpses, but you didn't get that outright slapstick that would have helped it to be better.
That episode needed to come out like 3, 4, 5 years later.
Agreed.
Or it needed to be written 3 or 4, 5 years later.
Yeah.
I think she was getting known, but she wasn't known for, she hadn't hit, like you said, she hadn't hit that stride yet, so they didn't have that well to play off of like they did with Keaton.
Right. No, agreed. And that definitely, where you're at in your career definitely makes a difference with that.
Yeah, she hadn't found her Carol Burnettness yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have much more else to say except season 3, you gone. You in the books. And yeah.
Stick a fork in
So,
her.
Yeah, stick a fork in her. They're done. And so you in the comments below, definitely tell us what your favorite episode of season 3 was. If you watched it with us, if you took notes with us.
Serve Man is your favorite episode.
Exactly. Talk about how Perchance the Dream should have been number 1 on this list, but wasn't,
Well, wrong season.
I don't care. I don't care, Drew. I don't care. Number one. Number one. Number one.
If you want to track
Number
down
one.
Nick and really tell him how you feel with pokers and flaming torches, you can find him at the Movie Emporium in Florida.
Yeah, look for the Movie Emporium in Florida. Yeah, I dare you to find it. Anyways, okay.
You should rename your channel and bring it back and just call it Florida Man.
There's probably a couple of those already.
Florida Man Reviews.
Yes.
I could call it Florida Pussy and just shoot video of my cat.
Aw.
Do Florida Man
Florida-
Reviews and have like alligators and stuff with you every time. As you wrestle them around, you're like, it's called Dune 2.
You know what would be funny? I'd probably end up in Grand Theft Auto 6. It'd be like, oh, that's so wacky and crazy and good times.
Well, you know what you do? You get a hand puppet that's an alligator, and every time you're trying to make a point, it like comes in out of shot and like tries to
Hey.
take out your throat.
No, I bring the puppet in. I get off screen. Like,
Get back, get down.
I'm like, I'm
Leave me
coming for
alone,
you.
Fresh Lucas.
Like, I'm coming for you, Bongo. Anyways, so that's season 3. That's the end of it. We're heading into season 4 next week. This is the season of the end of all seasons. This will probably ruin us all if to never do a podcast ever again. But we will make it through. Join us. We're gonna have many guests, probably many guests that never want to come back because of the season. This is gonna be weird. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah, this is when Jacob just fully orgasms all over the place because he's gonna enjoy this season so much.
It's gonna be all invaders all the time.
I know he's just gonna be like, oh. But
Yelling
no.
Rod Serling's name at the top of his lungs.
Oh, God. He's had like many beef burritos. But anyways, I don't know. Anyways, with that said, that's season 3. That's the end of it. But season 4 is coming up. You've heard us talk about this season for many eons. It's the 50-minute episode season. So Jacob, you might have to spend a little more time watching episodes this season. I'm sorry. No, you might have to watch like 40 minutes instead of 30 minutes on your phone, and then the rest on the.
I only did that twice.
But we'll see. We're gonna look war torn after this season. It's gonna be crazy. But first of all, season 4. It starts out with season 4, episode 1, which is called "In His Image." It's directed by actually Perry Lafferty, written by Charles Beaumont, based off his book. Production. This is an episode that stars George Grizzard.
This is folks. This is at the beginning of season 4. Can you imagine what we're gonna be at the end?
I'm gonna laugh my ass off when we get to the end of the 4th season and we come back and we do this episode. But for the 4th season, we're like, I liked it more than the 3rd. I liked it more than the 2nd.
The first episode premieres January 30th. And we got, as long as nothing happens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's only like
8,
18
9,
episodes.
10,
Yeah.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
It's basically the same length as the first season, but it's 18 hour or 18 1-hour episodes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 1,800 hours.
Yes, 1,800 hours of Twilight Zone content streamed directly into your brain.
Oh, by the way, if everything goes to plan and we are able to get through the season with no problems, we should be done by May 28th of 2024.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
That's 18 weeks from now.
We'll be done May 28th of 2025.
Well, that's actually the week of isn't that the week of Memorial Day? It's the 28th or something like that. So we'll be done by Memorial Day. We'll say that.
Yerp.
Anyways, so In His Image, the first of the hour-long episodes. Good Lord, help us all. You know, we look as what's his name in Watchmen? He said they said, you know, look up in the sky. He said no.
Oh, Rorschach.
Rorschach.
Yeah.
They said God help us. I looked up in the sky. I said no. Yeah. Anyways, George Grizzard stars in this episode. You might remember him from The Chaser. Gail Kobe, Catherine Squire, James C. A. So anyways, we'll look forward to that. God, I'm not looking forward to the 4th season, but we're gonna trek on through. We're getting through this damn series, whether we like it or not, people. Whether it kills us or not, we're bringing it back. Triv, Jacob, what a way to end the 3rd season with nonsense that I just said. It's good times. Have by none. You guys have content. Triv wants to go to sleep because she's tired of this nonsense. Triv, where's your channel? Where's it located?
It's somewhere in the 2D plane.
That's good to hear. I was gonna see how long we could make that last.
You can find me here on YouTube's Trivial Theater. I just, by the time this drops, I will have put out Blood-Sucking Pharaohs in Pittsburgh. It's a funky little POS of a movie from the 1990s/80s. Fun movie. Stars several people and a tomato salmon casserole that's really chunky.
I think I start several people in a casserole.
Not in a casserole, but also with a casserole. So,
Good old B level quality material.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so look forward to that. Jacob, what do you got?
I have a channel.
Anything?
You have a couple channels.
I do have a couple of channels. One of them I don't really put much on. Pretty much the same thing I say every week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm working on some shit, and it'll get done when it's done. I'm like,
Yay.
it's gonna happen when it happens. I have started to like pick up production, pre-product. I guess what would be pre-product? I don't know. I'm working on shit. It's coming along. I do want to go ahead because it's been a little bit. I was looking at my analytics, and my channel has started to get subscribers. I'm getting ever closer to that 1,000 subscribers. So go over there to RetroJKXY and subscribe, so that when I release my next video, maybe I might get a little bit of couch change from doing so. Because all I gotta do is I just got that one metric, just gotta hit that 1,000. But if I were a betting man, which I'm not, I would say that my next video should be out
In the house.
in February-ish, somewhere in February. If I had to guess, I'd say I'm going to shoot for the beginning of February, but you know,
So look forward
my
to
aim's
May,
pretty good
people.
in some things, but not in releasing video or YouTube content. But I'd say probably sometime in February I should have that next video out, and I am, depending upon, and this is all up to you guys now. I put this on your plate,
Oh no.
not you guys, those guys,
Oh phew.
the ones that are listening and or watching.
Ooh.
If this video does well, then I do plan on doubling down and focusing on getting content out much more regularly. I have some ideas for some in-between content I can do, as well as my big videos. I don't want to wait 5 months for each video. So if you like my content, go spread the word and show my next video that'll be out in February-ish some love. And if it does well, I don't expect it to do as well as my Dreamcast video, but if it does decent, if I see a good, turnout for it, then I'll say, okay, there's a want, there's a need,
Oh,
and it's
baby,
my
oh,
duty
baby.
to please that booty. So I'll
Yes,
definitely more content quicker.
give Jacob the subscriber suppository so it come out quicker. It come out in
Oh my god.
drainage droves and rushes and liquefy.
And if you don't show up for it, then the next video after that,
Is Jacob a
May
suppository?
2025. Or
So
whatever.
yeah. So look forward to that. Jacob's 2025 video, Triv's Bloodsucking Vampires of Pittsburgh. And for me, I got one more thing I'm doing, live viewing of the Oscars, and my channel will be done. And I won't have any more videos.
Well, I'd say don't put it out that way. I mean, if there's something you want to cover, then cover
It's
it.
over, Triv.
Okay. I'm just
It's
saying.
over.
Never say never.
It's over. No, yeah, for the time being, I want to focus on other stuff like writing, and
No,
I
understandable.
want to learn to play the guitar, and I want to film a champagne commercial in France, and yeah,
The French.
Yes.
get my trucker's license, which I've been putting off for a while. So that's what. If you guys are all wondering why I quit the review channel, those are the main reasons: writing, guitar lessons, and French people, and trucking. I don't know.
Space trucking.
Yeah,
With square pegs.
yeah, I'm gonna get some space pants as well. That type of thing. So
Space pants.
I made that joke in my space truckers review.
did you? Space pants. But anyways, we're gonna head out. We're gonna prepare. We're putting our war camo, our camo and gear and guns, and preparing for the fourth season. So next week we're gonna jump full into the fourth season of the Twilight Zone. But for right now, we're done with the third season, people. So without further ado, we're heading out. And for myself, Triv, and Jacob, we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out, motherfuckers.
You sound like shit, man.
You sound like a poo.
Shit.
I finished
How do I
the
sound?
Jodie Whittaker era of Doctor Who.
What'd you think?
She turned into David Tennant.
Yes, you did.
uh,
Oh, I got. Hold on a second. James out of.